Water in dreams doesn't just represent emotion, it actually represents the full state of what's going on inside of you. And the water dream itself could be preparing you for an emotional season that is coming. The core symbol meaning to water in your dream is emotional state. If you think about it, like stirring up the waters, it's it's about your emotional state, and that is going to be the general theme of the overall dream when water is involved, or at least when water is a focal point in the dream. Let's put it that way. If the water is calm, then that can bring peace and clarity. That could mean that's what the situation is going to end up bringing to you that you're going to walk through. Murky water, kind of dirty water, or you can't really see through the water, that's confusion. I've had one of those myself where I dropped a specific ring down into the water and I just couldn't see. And that was definitely what happened in real life, is that it was a state and a time and a season of a lot of confusion for me. If you see waves or storms in the water, that can be like an upheaval coming your way, unfortunately. Rising water is something I saw in a very important dream of mine many years ago, and it can be like rising pressure. So, as the water rises in your dream, it's showing that inside you the pressure is rising. It's trying to bring clarification to that, probably something going on in your life. So today I'm going to walk you through one of my most powerful water dreams that has already come to pass, so I can tell you exactly what it means. But before we do that, I want to talk to those that are new here. My name's Nicole, and I believe firmly that your dreams at night are decoding your future. And I'm passionate about teaching people how to break down the symbols in their dreams so they can glean the meaning from them and allow their dreams to help them make decisions about their future. If this is a conversation that you like, please hit the like button and subscribe. That way you'll know when the next video comes out, and it tells the algorithm that people like you like content like this. I'm actually going to cover two dreams today. One is just real quick and it kind of leads to the other. And they were at very different time frames. So one was in 2023 and one was back in 2020 when I had my explosion of dreams. And that's going to be the longer one that I cover about water. But first, let me tell you about this dream in 2023. For many of us, not just me, 2023 ended up being 2022 was a great year in the Nashville area for real estate. 2023 was not a great year. And I could feel the difference at the end of 2022 going into 2023. And I was ruminating over like, what was I going to do to financially support my family? Because I could tell real estate was not going to be the bang up year in 23 that it was in 22. And that night I had a dream. And in the dream, it was very simple. I'm literally standing between a bakery and a deli in what I now know is actually a Publix back room. And this is all I do. I say, if I go back to Walmart, this is how it's going to affect my family. And if I go to Publix, this is how it's going to affect my family. And boom, that was the end of the dream. The next day I was doing dishes. The dream came back to me and I was like, oh no, oh no. This dream is telling me that the answer that I was ruminating, right? I was ruminating the answer to my financial situation is going to be going back into retail. That was a terrifying idea, but ended up being exactly what happened. I'm about to share with you the dream from back in 2020 that's going to it was prefacing what was going to happen. And I'm going to tell you how the water was a huge, really the key symbol in the whole dream. Okay, so this dream was from January 2020. I'm in a large space, like a mall lobby, and I need to get prepared for a competition. Someone has been stepping in for me in the meantime, but now I am back and I feel very sure, very ready. I need to take a shower to prepare, and I walk into a dingy, old locker room type shower room, much like a school might have. There were individual stalls for showering and a lot of men in there, so I was covering up my nipples, but I wasn't very embarrassed to be naked this time, as where in the past I had tried to stay totally covered up in the presence of men. This time I was being modest but confident in myself at the same time. I looked for the right stall but couldn't find one. This leads me into the big mall common area where I start walking a circle around the edge of the common area looking for the right place to shower. There are two sections for showering. The first one I come to has an entrance that is a cyclone of water inside what resembles a revolving door. I was very attracted to that one, but I didn't want to be too hasty in my decision and I choose the wrong one. So I keep on around the circle and I look at the other shower entrance. Still some type of cyclone, but not as powerful. I still can't decide. So I asked a woman who worked there which one was the best. And she said, hands down, the cyclone one I'd first been drawn to was the absolute best. So, as you probably already gathered listening to this dream, this was a preparatory dream for me. I guess so, 3 years almost before the actual time that was needed. Now, what it was showing was that I'm getting this competition that's being shown, and this is kind of a destiny dream for me. I'm not totally sure what it means, but it feels like the present part of my life right now. Like I'm getting back in the game because there's certain parts of that resonate. For instance, like I'm naked and I'm no longer worried about that like I used to be in the past. I'm covering up my nipples, so I'm being modest, but I no longer worry about what I look like to others. And that is totally true because let me tell you, over the last 9 years or so, and then in particular for the 2.5 years I went back into retail, I I just found myself. I found my identity. I know who I am, and I no longer worry about what the other men around me or people around me think. Right? I know what I'm doing. I'm good. I'm happy. I'm confident. Okay, so it represents that. But look at what was needed before I could enter this season I'm in right now. I needed a shower, and that's one part of the water. Right? I needed a cleansing, and water can be cleansing. But where I was at was too dirty, whatever that meant. I had to go find the proper way to get the cleansing I needed. And this mall is a place I'm in a lot. It represents, I guess, just decisions in life, that mall, the corridor of life. And the first tunnel, right? So it's like a door, like a revolving door, but it's of water. Both of them are of water. Here's what these ended up being. And it was only in hindsight that I could look back and see, oh, this fit exactly. They ended up being both retailers. When I first interpreted this dream, I thought, and even when I was like going back into retail, I thought it was going to give me the decision which one did I want to go to? And I end up going back to the first one I chose. But in fact, the reality of the dream ended up being that I did both. And that's why I shared that first dream from 23 with you, is that even in that, both of these seem to show a decision, but in reality, I did both. But I did Publix first, and then I did Walmart after. Now, the water itself, that's where I want to concentrate with you. That was emotion. And let me explain to you how that was emotion for me. So, getting through these doors is going to supercharge me into my destiny. It was worth it. But I knew, even in the dream, the feeling was I knew it was going to be intense as I walked through the cyclone. And that is exactly what happened, to a lesser degree at Publix than at Walmart. And that's because I have so much history with Walmart and that needed a lot more cleaning up. Publix just kind of introduced me back into retail and into leadership a little bit there. And there were emotions that it brought up, like still some identity issues that I was dealing with. Who am I? And who do I want to be? And what am I going for? And why the heck am I back in retail? Right. So, and remembering who I had been, because I had been out of retail management for 6 years at that point. I'd been in self employment. So it was like remembering or flexing those muscles. And that was a great time with them. And then came Walmart, and Walmart was the bigger cyclone. It was essential. So you think that cyclone of emotions, and that happened to a degree that maybe I am not so proud to tell you. It was an emotional turmoil over and over again, but it only lasted a year and a half. My year and a half back with Walmart did more to set my identity in place than any of the previous, I guess, 7.5 years before that. It was the sandpaper that I needed to really take a good look at who I had been when I was a retail manager with Walmart for 14 years prior. What what mindsets had kind of set in place that I did not even realize until refaced with walking back into that managerial role again. And then finally being able to decide, who do I want to be? What can I take from both my previous time with Walmart and my now time with Walmart and my now time back with retail? And how can I shape that into who I am becoming? Because I knew even at that point, retail was not going to be my forever. My dreams did not show that. I'm very into dreams. I recognize there's a destiny in my dreams that was not retail manager forever. So I had to take that time and that emotional whirlwind, right? That cyclone of emotions and embrace it. And it was not easy. And this is what I want to tell you. When you're having these water dreams that are like the big waves or the storms, or for me, like this cyclone of water, just because you know about it in advance or have a dream that's like, okay, I knew this was coming, doesn't make it necessarily easy. It's still going to be you've fallen face first into the emotions. But what the dream does tell you is that there is a purpose to it, that is not walking through those hard emotions for no reason. And that's why I love dreams, because it's saying, hey, yes, you're about to walk through something hard, something emotional, but there is a reason for it. For me, it was a fast track into my destiny, and that's 100% worth it. Hands down, I don't regret it one iota. So, in your water dreams, here are some key things that you can look for. Were you in control? For me, I was in control. I made the decision on which door I wanted to enter. In reality, I entered both. And I can see how that is actually in the dream when I visited both. What control do you have or not have in your water dream? Here's another cool point. Are you watching the water or are you inside the water? To my knowledge, I don't know. Oh, that's not true. I have had one where I am inside the water, and that was a very deeply uncomfortable dream. So, and I think it's still to come, unfortunately. I don't think that one's come to pass yet. But yes, are you observing or are you in it? Here's a beautiful question to ask. Are you fighting or are you floating? If you're fighting, that could be two ways, right? Fighting good to fight through, fighting bad because you're fighting the emotions instead of letting yourself process what needs to happen. Or are you floating? And in previous content in the past, I've talked about my best friend's dream where she took a great fall with her family and they landed on cushions and they were floating in the water. And as she has walked out that season of her life, she kept remembering the dream. Okay, but you know what? I'm floating. I'm not going to fight this. I'm not going to be fear filled. I'm going to float through this season. Here's a great question to ask. What emotion lingers after you wake up? When I am ruminating on a dream when I first wake up, that's one of the things I am learning still to this day to do, is immediately go back to what was the main feeling in the dream. Because for my cyclone water dream, the main feeling was actually excitement and some trepidation, but knowing that the process of walking through was going to get me to something quickly. So you ruminating on what that feeling was about your water dream is what's going to unlock the whole dream for you. If you made it all the way through to the end of this episode, thank you so much for watching. I love talking about dreams, and I hope you enjoyed it too. If you did, hit the subscribe button because this channel is only here because of you. And if you want to dive deeper into your own dreams, I have a free community for that. See the link below.